So in continuation to previous thing, where were we? Here. So we checked the server name is not existing in ServiceNow. They have sent a valid server name. Then we came inside this. Next important parameter was the server class. So that's what we are checking. And here, these are some variables which we are using in between here, like this server name and all. Okay. So this is again, we are checking through a class called validate server name, not class, sorry. We are checking it through a private function, validate server class. So if you go to this function, validate server class, validate server status, validate server class, yeah, validate server class. No, not this one. Where is it? Okay, it is here. So here, what we are saying in this function, if the class is sent as Windows, then return true. If class is sent as server Linux, then return true. Else, any other value if they have sent, then return false and give them error. Because we are just in our scope, in our API scope, just Windows and Linux is there, right? So if they will send ABC, that doesn't make any sense to us, right? We cannot, we don't have any ABC class. So that's what we are trying to validate here. Like if this is a Windows or Linux, as part of like here what we are doing, request JSON password dot server class. So if in the JSON server class tag key is having value as Windows or Linux, then only continue processing the request, else false. So here if we come up, so this variable will have either true or false. So if they have sent the valid value, then it will be false, true. If that is not valid, then it will be false. Then again, we want to validate the OS domain. So here, if we go to this function, validate OS domain. So this function is saying these value cannot be empty. So as per requirement, they need to always send the OS domain. So if this OS domain value should not be empty. If that is empty, then it will return false. So this variable at top will save false. Then we are checking environment. Again, in environment, we are checking the environment value should not be false. Then we are checking is operating system valid. So if we go to this function, see why we have written function, because this code is easy to read. If I go to this validate OS domain function, validate operating system, validate operating system, validate. Where is the function? Okay.
So this whole script we have written in script include, na?
Yeah, because this much, if you will think writing there, it will be very difficult.
Yeah.
So here, if we see, we are trying to validate if class is Linux or operating system. See, every, like if we talk about Windows, can in Windows, can you have kind of Red Hat or these kind of operating system? No. In Windows, you can have either Microsoft related some operating system, right? And in Linux, you cannot have this Windows. So that means if they are sending the class as Linux, they should send operating system as these of one. And if they are sending the class as Windows, they should send operating system something like that. That is what my API is saying. If they are not sending these values, then I am going to return false to that variable. So why we are writing function? If you see the single line which we called at top, we are writing these many lines of code for that single line. If I will write whole of this code here, here instead of this single line, if I will you be able to read it properly? Right? Because it's not just one. We are writing this for this one also we are writing some lines. For again, if I go to
These all are functions, right?
these all are
Validate
functions.
environment.
Yeah. So
Hmm.
I am just creating function for everything, and then I am just calling them.
Yeah.
So if I say this one again for this operating system one, I am writing these many lines. Then if you go for other part, I am writing. So if I will put all those codes, line of codes here, then it won't be easy for you, and you will be kind of confused. You won't be able to understand. So here what I am just calling those function, and what feature those function is providing, you can go to that function and refer. So similarly, they will try to validate all these things. And then what I am doing, I am putting a if loop here, and I am saying if server class is valid, OS domain is valid, if all these parameters which we validated, they will be either having true or false. If they are valid, then these values will be having true. If they are not valid, then they will be having false. So before start creation of server, I am checking are all these values valid. If any one of them is invalid, then what will happen? I am go to else. I will go to else. There is this else here, and I am trying to send an error message. So I am saying if valid server class is invalid, then in my error message add server class and expected value for them is Windows or Linux. If you didn't have send OS domain as valid, then I am saying OS domain is invalid. So I am trying to add my message what you have sent invalid. If you have sent like environment as invalid, so I will say you have sent environment invalid, that the expected value what you should send is something like this. And if you send operating system invalid, then I am saying operating system is invalid, and these are the expected value. Like for Linux you need to send these values, for Windows you need to send these values. And then again this I am setting into the message and error detail, and what I am saying, I am again calling that error function. So here we are trying to provide very descriptive information to them what you are sending wrong, so that they can take proper decision and send the correct data. Now let's say they have sent all these parameters as valid. Then what will happen? We will see what server class they have sent based on the Windows or Linux. So if whatever server class, if I will go to this function, what this is saying, get the server class. That means in which class we need to create the server which they have sent. So I am saying if the server class is sent as Windows, then this is going to be the class. And if they have sent the server class as Linux in the request JSON, then this is going to be the class. And if I come back based on what they have sent, my where it is, okay, my this variable called server class will get either CMDB-CI underscore Windows server or CMDB-CI underscore Linux, and that is what I am glide recording on that. So I am doing a glide record on a correct table, either Linux or Windows. And then if you remember, this is how we insert a record in a table.
Yes.
So ultimately, after doing all this, where we landed, inserting a record through glide record.
Yeah.
That's why we studied glide record first, because you need to use glide record to insert the record. Then,
Yes.
as I said, when you do the insert, it returns the SysID of the inserted record. So let's say even if everything was valid, but still there was an error somehow at the ServiceNow end level, that means record is not going to insert. So here again I am checking, although this particular condition will come once in a while, means very rare, but still your API should be robust. Even if they have sent everything, then also there can be a 0.0001% chance from ServiceNow side, or ServiceNow itself is down, there could be an error. So if that is inserted properly, then this function is going to surely return the SysID. If it is not, then it is not going to return a SysID. So that's what I am checking. Is this variable having the SysID? If a record will be inserted, surely it is going to have. If it is not, then what I am saying, I am going to else part, and I am saying failure is because record is not created successfully. And what message I am saying, unexpected error occurred because you have sent correctly, everything we have validated, but still record was not created. Some unexpected error occurred. That could be anything. So that means what we are trying to do, we are trying to just create our API as much as robust, so that if a record creation is failed, you can track it, why it was failed, till where our code was run, till where API was successful, where it got failed. Then same error message we are calling, and we are sending, as it's a kind of server error, so we are sending 500. Then if record is successfully created, then what we are doing, we are sending them a successful status, response successful if server is created successfully. So here we are just setting this response body like record is created successfully, then we are sending the sysID of record created, all those things, and then we are printing. So if you see, for this we didn't design the function, because in whole code, if you see how many times you have sent the successful response, just once, right? Hello.
Yeah.
The successful response lines you just need to write once, because
Yes,
when everything is validated, then only you are creating. However, this error message, how many times you are sending? You are sending multiple times. So if I didn't create a function and I will start writing every line at every stage, like those 8-9 lines here, then again here, then again here, then again here, then again here, then here, then what will happen? It's going to increase the length of my code, and that would be unnecessary, and it will lose the readability and everything. So this is how you write a API or design a API. Similarly, if you go to our REST message, I have another resource inside this. This was for creating a server. Another resource I have created to update the server. So you can create as many as, but here I am using put, and then again I am getting the response, a request and request body, and then same script include but another function. So if you go here I would be having another function, process server update request. Then here similarly I am doing all those validation, like server name is valid or not, then server is already there or not. If server is not there, then send them error. If they are sending, whether they are sending the correct status, let's say I need to update the status, so that's what I am checking, if that status is correct. If that is not correct, then I will again send them the error. So this is how you can like create the APIs, create the resources, write the code in script include, or if you want, if you are comfortable here, you can write here. And then once you are done with all this, it's time to test your API. You need to go to your REST.
And what information we need to share with that third party?
You need not to send anything this. You just need to again send, share this JSON
endpoint.
That's all. So here, if you see, you get this post. This is your API. Then application content, everything. Then this is what your JSON you will design, because this is what your API knows to process. Apart from that, if they will send anything, your API doesn't know.
This is something we have added, or it's automatically came?
No, I just put here because I know my API. In your API, what you are processing: server name, server class, OS domain, environment. If they will send one more key here, will your API be able to process it? No, my API doesn't know anything apart from these keys. So you have to tell them you can just send these value in this format. Other than if you will send anything, my API is not going to process, because my API don't know. See, again, what is API or what tool is? What you are making them to learn. You just make your API to learn this part. Your API knows just this part, and it knows how to respond on this part. Apart from that, it doesn't know.
But what about the builder? I mean, did we like
builder used in table? Here we don't have.
Okay.
So here.
Okay, we're not using table at all here, right? API.
Yeah, we are not using. We are just writing everything in code. You see anywhere table?
No.
So on the code itself, we are getting the table and then glide record and inserting the record. That is what we are doing.
Okay.
Then let's say what I will do, I will try to send this response. Now you have designed, you need to test your API before sharing with them. So I have just
Send.
put this JSON. I will try to send it. Let's see. See what is happening.
Bad request.
It's giving me bad request. What it is saying? Error. Message.
Server.
Missing required parameters. Server name can't be empty. So
We have added test server.
There would be some error somewhere. Why it's giving error? So server name is not defined. Server underscore name. Server underscore name. Okay, so now server name is fine. What it is saying? It is saying invalid / missing required parameter. It is saying OS domain, DNS domain, IP address, environment, and these are the expected values of environment. Then operating system are invalid. These values can't be empty or invalid. Do you see in the request? We are sending them as so that's what how this error is coming, because we have defined it at multiple levels and we are sending error as failure, and the code whatever you defined coming here. So now what I will, if I will remove this, see what will happen.
Class is also not there.
Yeah, so it will say server class expected value Windows or Linux
or Linux,
all other values. So it is something how descripted and how you are designing an API. Your API should be robust as well as should give correct information. So now if I will put here Windows and then OS domain maybe test, then environment I will put there, operating system I will copy one from here, or for Windows it should be this. And for DNS domain I will put test IP I will put and then description I will say test. Now I will send this request. It again said bad request. Now expected value for environment are these. We have put dev. So it should be either development. It can't be dev. Here I will put POC and now I will send. So what it does, when everything was correct, then only it created the server. It says server created successfully and this is the SysID of your server. So now let's validate. As we send Windows, it should be in the Windows class, right? So if I will go to the server and if I put all, and if I put the SysID, start with is run. See, this is what server is created with that SysID. If I open this, the table for this should be the Windows. If it is not Windows, that means our API is not correct. So how you will verify it? You will see in the URL what is the table. DVCI Win server, right? And then the
but
name
it was date created was showing 24th of May.
Yeah, because it would be the time zone of instance. It's in Los Angeles.
Okay.
So This is what IP address, what we said. This is operating system, OS domain, then description. So all these things are set properly. Now, if
Yeah.
I will try to send it, let's say if I am saying Linux
Unix.
and I will send it,
Spelling is not correct.
it will give error. Server with this name already exists. Okay, because it failed at first validation as well.
Test
Because
way.
test
Okay.
we already created. Now, if we will send it, what is going to say? Saying
Linux is
server.
not correct.
So if I will say
No, it should
now
again.
what it is saying, operating system. You are sending Linux, but what you are saying, operating system you are sending for Windows.
Red Hat
So
or something.
see how robust this API is. So your API is something like robust should be this. So there is something in this you need a lot of coding like experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, to validate each and every state. So now if I will put AIX,
So can't we get this ready-made? I mean, somewhere which will be useful for all everywhere. These scripts.
no, this varies scenario to scenario. This was to create the servers and all those things. So this is again scenario to scenario dependent. You need to write different codes. So now server is successfully created. Now if you go to this sysID, all server, this is was if you see just now created. So if I will open this one, see it has gone to correct class, that is Linux.
Yeah.
Then all other values are getting set properly, IP address, domain, and this. So that is what we have achieved now. We have achieved what was our problem statement. Same API should be capable to create the servers in Linux and Windows. Okay, as well as our API is giving proper error messages at each and every stage. If you remember, first thing what we validated the JSON part, if JSON is correct or not. Let me send it now. It will give me an error. Bad request, invalid JSON body. Because what I did, I put comma at the last, and as per the JSON structure, the last key value pair should not have the comma. So if they will even send the wrong JSON, that is also being validated by this API.
Right.
Now in terms of code, see, it's going to vary for sure in each and every scenario. What you can kind of standardized or have is something like this logging format. Right? What can be like reusable for you always? Maybe this checking in this, I would say this error message generation. This can be a standard for you. You just need this error message and code. These three things are going to change. Maybe you want to say error message like XYZ, error detail something else, but how you send the error message is going to be the same. So this is something going to be standard in each and every integration for you. You just pass these value dynamically as well. So this function can be reusable for you always. Then this is not undefined. So it is something standard. If they will be sending the undefined value, then this function you can reuse in each integration. Valid JSON check, you can use this one as a standard. Then again, what you can use as a standard, this is structuring. Like this, if I say, where it is, this part, first you need to always check the JSON is valid or not. Key can be different, but JSON validity is not getting checked based on keys, right?
Yeah.
So you can have this as a standard. First thing you need to check if the JSON is valid or not. If JSON is not valid, then failure at first step itself. So send an error message. So this structure you can keep.
Right.
Where you need to put if, where you need to put else. Then maybe here we have, once the JSON is valid, then here you need to pass it through JSON parser. Okay. So this is again standard for you. Then here we are checking first required parameter is the name of the server. Getting my point? So this structure again you can keep, like you need to validate your first required parameter, without which you cannot proceed further. So here it is server, and another integration it could be XYZ.
Yes.
So this again, if this XYZ is not valid, then you can send the error, and your error function is again standard for you. Then again the further parameter you can check, like this, if server is exist or not. Then these structure again can be same. These validation definition can change. Like here, to validate the server, we are checking if it is of class Windows or server or not. So again, these kind of validations you can do, but obviously this definition is going to change, because in that integration you will be validating something else. Again,
yes,
structure is same. Once if they are not valid, then you can have this structure like sending the error message if any parameter is wrong. So what I'm trying to explain here is structure, like I try to define a proper structure, and I try to use similar kind of structure in most of the script rest, because it reduce at least my 20 to 30% work. Because structuring this huge code is again a big task. If you see, this is a 600 lines of code.
Yeah.
Right? Writing a 600 lines of code in a structure is a kind of 30 to 40% task of designing this REST API.
Yes.
So if I am taking kind of 15 days for designing this whole API, then maybe if I have a structure, I can do it in 10 days. Because now structure is there, I need to just write the code and logic. So what standard can be for you, what standard cannot be, I think you understood now.
Yeah, right.
So
can you share this code with me?
Yeah, I mean, I can share it.
And also for that imports, that one which you have explained.
Imports that one, yeah, that is a bit small code. I will share that. This is important. This one you can keep it with you.
Correct. At least I can get some reference.
Yeah. Okay. Any other question regarding this you are having? I know this is complex.
Too much, yeah.
It is complex. You will find it difficult to understand, but this is the complex part of scripting, and in whole scripting, this is something you will find complex. Because here you are using each and every bit of scripting which you learned till now.
Correct. So even if we need to integrate like between two ServiceNow instances, and requirement is like this, like 2 tables or something, then also we need to use this script.
Obviously, otherwise you share 2 APIs or something like that.
So there is no leniency. I mean, say no easier way, even if the 2 instances are ServiceNow itself.
No.
Okay.
It varies based on use case. That's what I said. The integrations and this REST and SOAP are not something specific to ServiceNow. They are concepts and they are platform independent. Concepts going to be same, logic going to be the same, whatever tool it is. I'm not sure if you are aware this REST, SOAP and web services is not ServiceNow concept, or not something developed by ServiceNow.
That is another platform also.
That is a kind of a standard protocols. They are platform independent. Any tool can be capable of providing these things. Maybe coding structure will change. See, in ServiceNow, as ServiceNow use the glide record to creating the record. This is now specific. Somewhere there will be another kind of class or feature in some other tool that is going to use, but structure and standard is going to be the same.
Yeah, right.
Some component will be ServiceNow specific, but concept is not ServiceNow specific.
Okay.
Okay. If you one more thing I would like to tell you.
Yeah.
If you will go to developer.servicenow.com,
Mm-hmm.
then inside this learn, if you will go to
Mm-hmm.
learning path,
Mm-hmm.
here this ServiceNow application developer,
Yes.
you will not find everything which we have discussed, but few things you will find, and this course is again good. If you want, you can practice this one as well.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So this is something, it will give you again what we discussed, something like that only, but here you will get some more
Okay.
things and
Okay.
more detail. So here we have 2 3 kind of maybe you need not to, whatever you feel comfortable going with, you can go. So like here first thing I would say, go through this client server language.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe importing data, this is again your kind of admin part. So if you want to learn more on
What
this,
is this needled application?
it's, that is ServiceNow has provided a kind of demo application which you can use for practicing. Okay, you can,
Okay.
it will give you the step as well, how to install it in your instance, and you can practice it. So
Mm-hmm.
you can use this importing data. Maybe you are not that much good with transformer, I'm not sure you didn't learn
Yeah.
Java. So this one you can make use. Flow designer is something advanced, that is again schedule, script execution and events we have learned. If you want, you can go through this one as well. Then how to design notifications, and that I didn't gone through it, but I see,
Okay.
I have seen this first two, they are quite good.
Okay. Okay. So
Okay,
maybe I can, yeah, refer this. So
this,
is it like something they have explained also?
yes. If I will open one of them,
Mm-hmm.
like if I will open this client side, maybe you will not find everything kind of usable for you or understandable, but there are many things which you can easily understand, because they will, in between they will go to advanced logging and all, those are not that much required for you.
Mm-hmm.
So here they are saying like this is the application, they will give you scenarios as well, and they will make you learn with scenarios for needed
So
to
what is
resolve.
this GitHub? GitHub.
GitHub is again a repository with, on which you need to create the kind of your account, and then you need to import this. ServiceNow would have provided you some URL here, through that you need to import this application which they are talking about, and then they will give you in task in between to modify those application things.
So first to this import this application, right, into an instance.
Yeah. So if
Okay.
I come here, this is some setting up for that application. I have just gone through like few days back on this. Means this
Okay.
was not
Okay.
there previously, I think. I'm not
They
sure
have
if
added, I think.
it recently added or something. Like I was just going through this website and I just found this.
Okay. Okay.
I seen this is quite good actually.
Okay.
Then here, if you see, they have provided you like client side and server side what it is, and they have given you example how it is.
Mm-hmm.
Seems to be quite good. Added recently,
Okay.
but seems to be quite good. Then here they will say like onload client script. They will tell like onload client script, execute on script logic, this.
Yeah, I think I will try this. Yes.
Then form
So
load
is this
client.
something prerequisite is to download that application, or we can do it just directly on our table something?
You can do it on directly on our tail, like that will be kind of guided for you. But as you are already aware of most of the concepts, so you can practice it on any table, all those things.
Yeah.
Then
Okay.
on submit, how it works, like as I explained, once user submit and they see control return to user, if you are all those things they have tried with like pictorial things, then here they say on submit. Now if you see, that's what we discussed, user save, submit or update the record. On submit client script execution, and this is the database, right? So control is gone from user's hand and it is not yet reached to database in between what is running on submit client script.
Right.
So maybe I think you know this
Pictorial
now.
view.
Yeah, pictorial view. I tried to explain, but that's why I see this is quite good. This added very recently. I have seen few days back.
Okay.
Yes, I own this.
Okay, I think I can try this developer thing.
So again, there are many other things like how you can, that I know you know now, like onload and these things, how you change tire, these. But this seems to be good. So maybe if you prefer, you can go. I found it, so I thought to tell you might be useful for you.
Okay. And do you also have any assignments with the solution? I mean, if suppose any use cases.
For this separate
with the solution also.
With the solution,
I mean, if you have, then you can share it. Will, I mean, because if I get stuck, I waste all of my day in that itself. So that's the thing.
See, one more thing I would recommend. There is a lot of things which you can do, but I am not sure how much time you are going to have. So if you go to our channel, here if you will see
in playlist only, I have access to this for integration.
No, these are public one. Public one you can access.
Okay.
Things. So if you
assignment
part, they are kind of, you have to practice and find the solution. If you basics you want to do, you can do it. Let me go to one thing here. This one here you will find many things with the solution. So I have provided something so like onload client script. Here I have provided it with the
use case.
You can practice these. So like here, if you will see, this is what is client script, and then here you will see type, and then how you use, and here there will be. So in this series, you will find examples with the kind of solution and everything. So here, onload, if I go. Okay, so create an onload client script and test this, set the other field on the client.
These lab sessions, yes.
So alert this form has been finished loading, and how you can practice that is also shown here. So this is mainly for these only is client script, business rule, and then glide record, insert, update.
In all the videos we have this lab assignments kind of thing.
Yes, these are mostly these advanced in scripting. You will find in most of them are kind of lab sessions and solution for you.
You also check it. So it is under scripting.
And it is a ServiceNow scripting and advanced playlist.
Okay, let me see. And have you also uploaded all the videos so far that we have?
Yeah, completed? I think they are, apart from 2 days, everything will be there.
Okay.
So if you see here, there is a one use case for the business rule, before business rule, and here is the problem statement. Execute after form is submitted by, this is the example. Let me just, okay. See here, the problem statement, when incident, this I think similar, which I covered already, maybe, but you can try. So priority is upgraded, downgraded, and all those things. Then the solution will also be there in this. So if you will come here, here it will be implemented properly. So like it is with all the solutions. So this playlist, this is what the solution is going to be. All those things are there. Not all, but I think 50-60% videos you will see the problem statement and solution.
Yeah.
So this can be again useful for you. See, now what I will say, you are kind of equipped with concepts. Now, as much as practice you are going to do, you will learn that much.
That's right. At least I got some basic understanding.